Hi everybody, this is Wendy Sod and welcome to the Sodcast. And long time no see here, whatever you want to call it. I know I haven't been around, but I just wanted to share another travel video with you. We just recently went to Belize. We left on November 13th and then we returned home on November 21st. And to give you a little bit of their seasons there, I've seen two different time frames there, but pretty similar. So they have the wet season and they have the dry season. The dry season runs late November, December through April, and then the rest of the year is considered the wet season. From talking to locals and things, they say that the busiest time of the year to visit would be in April. They said around Easter time, which kind of shocked me. So the way we planned and how I decided on when to go was we like our privacy. We don't like crowded resorts. We don't, you know, we like to do our own thing and we go on vacation to have peace and quiet. So that's why I chose the week before Thanksgiving. I thought it would hit at the beginning of the dry season and it would also hit before Thanksgiving when they start to get more busy. So that's why we chose that time frame. So let's start with the flight out there. So our flight, we are from Ohio. The closest airport to us would be Detroit, about 45 minutes. But flying out of Cleveland Hopkins is substantially cheaper. That's why we usually fly out of Cleveland. Cleveland, if you're not familiar with that airport, nice airport, smaller side, easy to navigate. We didn't have any issues there. We flew approximately an hour and 55 minutes and we landed in Atlanta, Georgia. And we got there and we had a layover there for approximately an hour and a half. Now, I will tell you, I will never do that again. The short layover was a complete chaos trying to get where we needed to go in that airport. That airport is one of the biggest airports I've ever been in and flown out of, and it was very hard to navigate, and, you know, in that short period of time. No one was helpful, no one was friendly. Just a tip. But we did. We managed to get where we were going. We flew out of there, and we had about a 3-hour, maybe 3.5-hour flight to Belize from there. Once you arrive in Belize, you typically, any international flights will fly into Belize City. We landed there, and we already had our taxi transport service set up, so they met us there waiting for a sign, you know, with our name on it. Made it very easy. They scooped us up. From Belize City, we took the 30-minute taxi ride to the water taxi, because where we were staying in Belize was an island. They actually have 200 islands. They're not all inhabited. I cannot say that word. I'm not going to even try it again. But there are a few that, you know, people stay at, vacation at. The island we stayed at is called AMBERGRIS Cay. The island itself is approximately 25 miles long by about a mile wide. So on the smaller side, and that's exactly what we were looking for. We didn't want all the chaos and, you know, we kind of wanted to do our own thing. So we get on the water taxi, and this is a boat ride you take from Belize City to San Pedro, and it stops at one other island called CAYE, and you stop there after a 30-minute ride, drop off, you know, some of the riders, and then you go on to San Pedro, which is another hour from there, totaling hour and a half. So we arrive on the island, and I had already set up transportation that we would use while we were on the island. Now, the company we used is Isla Bonita, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's a golf cart rental. That is their main mode of transportation on the island. and then you have the freedom to do what you want, go where you want. You know, it cost us right around $225 to rent the golf cart for the week, and we paid for it when we arrived there. So they had met us at the water taxi and took us to their main office. From there, we took off to where we were staying. Now, there is one town on AMBERGRIS Key. It is called San Pedro. It is near the southern tip of the island. So that is your starting point. Now, the place that we stayed was called the Hidden Jewel Boutique Hotel. And I am not even kidding when I say it is truly a hidden jewel. And, you know, after being there for a while and talking to people, nobody really knew of it when we would mention the hotel we were staying at. So it was approximately from San Pedro, it was about a 20-21 minute golf cart drive to Hidden Jewel Resort. So initially the roads are decent, some potholes, mostly paved, and then for about the last 4.5 miles of the trip, you have dirt, sand, rock roads, I think is what they're called. I don't know. But anyway, very rough terrain for the most part. Large potholes. Now, it did rain for the first 2 days we were there, and that portion of the road did at times become almost impassable, but people trucked on through. You know, our golf cart did bottom out a few times, but we made it through, no big deal. But we go about 4 miles out, and then actually our road to our boutique hotel was carved out in the jungle. I mean, it was literally carved out in the jungle. And so you take these little roads back here to the Hidden Jewel. Now, when we arrived there, you have parking there for your golf cart, and you always want to make sure that you lock up your golf cart every single time, because the locals told us that some people can be very quick to just snag your golf cart, so always lock up your golf cart. We then arrived there at the Hidden Jewel, and we were greeted with the most amazing, gracious people that worked there. They took us to our room, and this particular boutique hotel has 8 rooms in total. So it has 1 2-story building that has a penthouse on the top floor, 1 penthouse. The bottom floor of that is 2 rooms, separate rooms, and then 2 more separate buildings, which are little huts, I guess I want to call them. They're grass coverings, and I'm going to show you pictures of those. The one we got was a 1-bedroom, full kitchen with a very large refrigerator. You can cook, you know, you can, if you decide to go that route. Groceries are a little on the pricey side, I guess. We decided to eat out because I'm on vacation. I'm not going to cook. I don't cook at home. So it had a living room with a pull-out bed, which seemed like it was bigger than a full-size bed, but it was decent in the living room. You have a TV in the living room, which the only channel that was available to watch was YouTube. And I don't care too much about watching TV at all when I'm on vacation, but at times we did use it. The bedroom was decent size. It had a great big closet, and then it had a big dresser in there with 6 drawers, plenty of room for all of our stuff. The bathroom was very nice. It had, you know, a walk-in shower and a bench in there, and just very, very nice. Then there was another grass hut type building up front that was an actual, looked like a house. I mean, it was 2-story, and you would have that all to yourself. And then on the right next to that was the last 2 rooms, and it was the top floor and then the bottom floor, and it was you have the whole floor to yourself. Now those 2 last ones I just described to you were right directly on the beach. In the center of our resort, right outside our front door, was the beautiful pool. And oh my gosh, the water in this pool was so warm. I can't even, I mean, maybe 85 degrees. It was just bath water. And I'm really sensitive to cold water, so I was leery, but it didn't even shock me for a second. It was just amazing. So on this property, they also have one restaurant that you can eat at. I believe it's called Treasure Escape, something to that effect. I have a sign that I'm going to show, but it's a really nice restaurant. And while you're there, if you choose to eat there throughout your stay, they can run you a tab while you're there, and you know, so you don't have to pull out your card every single time. They do accept US dollars, obviously, and most of the prices we found in Belize were shown in Belize money. So for every, like, Belize dollar is worth, so if something in Belize is $2, it's only $1 for us, US dollars, if that makes sense. I know I'm not explaining that very clearly, but so if our meal was 10 bucks Belize, it's $5 US. So you can run a tab there, like I was saying, and once it hits $500 Belize, they're going to have you clear that tab out. We ate most, I'd say 50% of our meals there, because it's not a huge menu, but oh my gosh, was the food just absolutely delicious. If you go there, you have to try their chicken kebabs, to die for. I ate those almost every single time at that restaurant. They have a little bar in there, and like I said, again, we were there at low season, so at most there was one other couple in the whole resort while we were there. There was no children. I mean, it was so peaceful, just totally dead silent. If you would come out at night and just sit on your porch, dead silence. They have 2 kayaks there that are free for you to rent while you're there. We did rent those one day, not rent, I'm sorry, use, and we went out just on our beaches in front, because, you know, we're kind of old people, and it's a lot of hard work kayaking, so we didn't go far, but we really enjoyed it, just sitting out there, you know, kind of lingering in the water, just taking in the beautiful scenery. I will tell you one thing about that little excursion we took. So we're sitting out in the water, and we're just, you know, idle for a minute. My feet both were dangling over the side of the boat, splashing in the water, and all of a sudden we had a bump on the bottom of our boat, and we looked over, and there was a big white something that flashed away, right? So my feet went back in the boat, and we decided to wrap it up. Finally, we head back up, and we were talking to the staff, you know, at the hotel, explaining, you know, what we seen, and they said, oh yeah, we have a 15-foot nurse shark out here, and that's what it was. I about had a stroke, but they are not aggressive. You can actually go on excursions and stuff where you can swim with them. They do not attack people, but this was one that was, you know, on the larger side, just intimidating, I guess, to me, to have a shark bump your boat. They said that it would have seen our shadow of the boat, because the fishermen out there feed the nurse sharks. So, you know, they see the shadow, they assume you're coming to feed them. They did not eat my feet, thank God. I got it back in the boat in time. Anyway, moving on. So that is our resort. I will tell you, if you're looking for a large beach area, you're really not going to find that on the island. And as a matter of fact, on CAYE, we went to that island also. We really didn't see a ton of beach space. So if you're looking to, you know, lay on the beach at high season, that beaches may be a little crowded. There's quite a bit of seaweed, and they have a lot, you know, a hard time trying to keep up with that because it's a daily job. But our beach was very clean. They were out there cleaning it daily. There's a little sand area that you can sit. We actually took a couple of the chairs down in the water because the water's so shallow. And you know, we laid out at the pool. We sat down there. You know, you can do whatever. I will tell you, make sure you bring about 300 bottles of bug spray. The mosquitoes, especially when we got, you know, back into the jungle where our hotel was, they were just insane. The best one I can recommend to you is the Off Family spray. That seemed to work the best, and I tried 3 different kinds. I tried the Off Sport, which kind of worked, but the family one worked better for whatever reason. And then we also bought one locally, which was an all-natural, and I think it was by Mountain somebody, but in a blue bottle. I don't recommend it. It did nothing. It smelled delicious, but it did nothing. I highly recommend the Off Family, and you can buy that in travel sizes. I only took one travel size with me, so next time I will definitely take many more, because I believe we went through one travel size plus a large size of the Sport Off as well while we were there, just because constantly you are covering yourself in it. Other than that, so the first 2 days we were there, we had solid rain. Rained all day, all night. Temperature was, the entire time we were there, was 80s. Humidity is very high there, but it's not suffocating. It was so comfortable. I don't know how that works and how to describe it, but for me, I loved it. It was perfect temperature. The Caribbean water was between 82 and 84 degrees. It was just like bath water as well. For the first 2 days, obviously the rain, we decided to just go and venture the town of San Pedro. I love to go shopping on our vacations, so we took the truck in our little golf cart, which has a windshield that you can pull up so the rain is not, you know, in your face. We didn't get wet. We took our umbrellas and we headed into San Pedro. Now, the town of San Pedro, the island itself only has 2,000 permanent residents, locals. So anything other than that is visitors. It does not feel crowded. I mean, the town a little bit itself, it does, because it's kind of cramped and all, you know, scrunched up together, but just amazing. We absolutely fell in love with this town. And the people and the stores, I mean, it's store after store after store of, you know, their wood carvings and their purses they make, hand-stitched and hand-beaded, and I mean, just little flea market type stores where you can go through, and just unbelievable, you know, and all the little bracelets they make and things, and just that, my husband and I, we love to shop. And so those 2 rainy days, that is what we spent doing. Now, like I said, and you'll see in the pictures, there was one area on our road that was very deep water because of the rain. It was fun, actually, just driving through it. But there is, you know, a little way you can go around. And actually, by the end of our trip, they had filled that in. There was huge trucks out there dumping dirt, and they had filled it in and fixed it within a few days. So there are so many wonderful restaurants to eat at, the local food. The main fish there is red snapper, We did try that the day we went to the other island, CAYE, and it was just amazing. There are places that the locals will go out and they will fish for your fish or your lobster or your conch, I'm not sure how to say that big white shell that's filled with stuff, and they will go out, catch it right in front of you, bring it back, and grill it right up for you. We didn't do that, but sounds like a great thing to do. We ate at several different restaurants. Our favorite one, I think, was called The Patio. One interesting fact about the restaurants is all of the floors are sand. It's so cool. It's just like you could take off your shoes and just run your feet through the sand while you're eating. It's amazing. So we ate at The Patio. We ate at a little restaurant called Elvie's. And Elvie's restaurant, it was really neat. That was the first restaurant we went into. Mexican cuisine was the main dishes in there. Was pretty neat to see on the wall. They had a picture from 2012 when Prince Harry came to Belize, and he came to Elvie's restaurant and met the owner, and it was just really neat to see. I got a picture of that to show you guys. Some of the other places we ate, one place was called Maxie's, which I think, if I had to take a wild guess, was probably the most expensive restaurant on the island. It wasn't anything exciting to me. We ate at better places, I thought. The service there was not worth the money at all. Now, I'll tell you, you might see other videos saying that eating there is very expensive. We did not see that at all. We're ones that DoorDash every day of the week. We eat out every day of the week. And these prices were still cheaper than the United States. So, you know, the typical meal was, for two of us, between $35 and $40 US. So, not terrible at all. They have a little place which is not actually in the town of San Pedro. It's between our trip from the hotel into San Pedro, and it's called the Truck Stop. And it's a really, really cute place, you guys. It is, you know, like here in the States, we have the trucks, the food trucks that drive around and sell food. It's similar to that, but they're stationary, little containers, you know. Most of the food there was, there was a pizza place, an Asian place, Mexican place, and then an ice cream place. We just weren't feeling the vibe on eating that type of food that day we were there, so we didn't eat there that day. But all of the beaches in the entire island are all public, so you can go anywhere. And this particular truck stop has a really cool little beach back in there, and then they have a saltwater pool right there on the property where anybody can just come swim, and it's really neat. But you can go to any resort and you can use their beach. Now, you cannot use their chairs or their equipment, but you can throw a towel down and you can use their beach if you find one that, you know, interests you or is nicer than the one you're staying at. So we did end up, later in the trip, we stopped back at the truck stop. We were craving some ice cream, and we had some ice cream there. It was amazing. The flavors they have are all the typical stuff, but they have coconut. Coconut is obviously huge on the island. Let's talk about safety a little bit on the island we were on and some of the other parts of the country. So we spent a lot of time talking to locals, and just getting, you know, the gist of what, you know, the statistics were with crime and whatnot. Now, everybody is going to tell you the highest place for crime is in Belize City. So that's not all of Belize City from what I gathered. It sounds like it's the southern part of Belize City. There are a lot of gang violence there. I believe the gangs are the Crips and the Bloods. And you know, turf wars. Taxi drivers won't even drive through there. But their big beef is over marijuana sales. Whatever. Crazy. So marijuana in Belize is not legal, but it is decriminalized. So we were told that so far this year, and it is November 23rd, it's actually Thanksgiving Day when I'm making this video, that there had been 40 murders for the entire year. 38 of those murders were gang related, and 2 of those deaths were other. And from what this particular guy told us is that the other deaths, a lot of times, you know, some of these islands don't have hospitals. So, you know, these deaths are sometimes contributed to a delay in treatment of, you know, getting a boat ride or getting on a plane to get you to the hospital. So there's that. Our island actually had one hospital, and another fella told us that they were in process of building a second hospital there on AMBERGRIS Key. The hospital looked very nice when we went by, so I mean, most of you guys know I'm a nurse, so I was interested in that and asking lots of questions. I'm going to tell you, I am an LPN with about 20 years experience. I've done everything I could possibly do as an LPN. So I feel like my skill set is pretty broad. So to be a nurse there, you as an RN, I was looking at some of the job ads on Indeed and other places. I was seeing RN jobs for a registered nurse for about $6,000 a year, US dollars. Horrible. I couldn't imagine doing my job, what I do, for, I think it comes out to about $8 an hour. And I don't know, I couldn't see anywhere where LPNs were advertised, you know, for jobs. So I feel like they call them something different there. I don't know if everybody's considered just a registered nurse. I don't know how that works. But anyway, from what we were talking to some of the locals, that, you know, you just try really hard not to get sick, because if you have to go to one of these hospitals, it's not a good situation. They don't have the proper equipment. The one local told us that the staff is very nasty, and I said, well, that makes sense if the nurses are only getting paid 2 cents an hour, right? Anyway, moving on from that, I did a lot of research into that, because we're considering moving to Belize and trying to figure out that whole aspect of it. So that is healthcare, or, you know, the hospitals there. As far as crime on the island we were on, very low crime. They said most of the crime that they have there is petty theft. You know, you set your Yeti cup down on your golf cart and you turn around and it might be gone. But we felt very, very, very safe there. This is the first vacation that we felt safe leaving our resort and going out and venturing on our own. You know, you cannot really get lost on the island. There's really only one road, so it was wonderful. Now, if you watched other videos about Belize, you're gonna hear about Secret Beach. I am telling you, the things I was hearing about this, I couldn't wait to get there. It sounded like the most wonderful place and beach on the island. I will tell you, it's a bunch of hype. This place, and I hope I don't offend any locals, it was junk. It was so run down, old looking, so overcrowded with rows and rows and rows of beach chairs and beach loungers that you couldn't even hardly walk down this whole stretch of beach. I guess it would be okay to take kids. They kind of have this little play area out in the water. They have party boats you can rent there. They have jet skis you can rent there. But as far as spending any time on the beach, we couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. It was awful. It was a long golf cart ride. So, like I said, the island itself is only a mile wide, and it was on the opposite side, like on the Gulf of Mexico side. So, we're thinking a mile drive. Hell no. It's curvy, windy. It took 45 minutes to get there and 45 minutes back. Really rough terrain. I'm going to tell you, just don't even waste your time, guys, you know, unless you're going there to rent an RV or a RV, a jet ski. And now jet ski rentals, on the other hand, I think were extremely overpriced. The lowest we seen was, I believe, $50 for 15 minutes. So you do the math on that. You know, you take a jet ski out, I would think like an hour would be a good time. So you're spending $200 just to go out on a jet ski for a little bit. The nice thing about that is, I guess you can, you know, check out the whole coast and the areas that you can't see, you know, just on your golf cart, and there's that. But other than that, don't waste your time with Secret Beach. I am going to talk a little bit about pricing. And I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, about how much it costs. Is it expensive? Absolutely not. And we were planning on a vacation this year, and we thought, let's stay somewhere local. It'll be cheaper. No, it was much cheaper to go all the way to Belize than it was to stay in the States or go to Florida or go to the Bahamas. So our flight cost us from Ohio approximately $1,400. And I will tell you, that is a little bit on the higher end. I could have gotten a flight a lot cheaper had I booked it earlier. I was procrastinating, and I waited and I waited. I seen it, you know, a lot cheaper. So I'm gonna say between $1,000, $1,400, $1,500 you can get your flight if you're flying, you know, from Ohio. And then our Hidden Jewel boutique hotel we stayed at was $1,000 for the entire week. Now that is not an all-inclusive, like I had mentioned. You know, we paid for all of our food in that. Food, I think, is where we spent the most money because we didn't do any cooking. We ate out every single meal. We ate out twice a day, lunch and then dinner. And let me try to come up with a guesstimate. We probably spent, let's see, I'm going to say about $1,000 on food just for the week, maybe less. So plan for that. And then we took a good amount of money just for spending for any excursions we wanted to do while we were there. The excursions can get a little pricey, so really shop around, you know, for those before you book one. You know, they can cost a couple $100. You know, we found one. The only excursion we did was snorkeling, and I told myself, I've always been turned off to it because I hate cold water, but when I felt the temperature of this water, I said, I'm doing it. So I had already bought off Amazon, I like the full face snorkeling gear. So I bought my husband and I those really nice ones for about, I think they're $35 a piece. And we looked like Power Rangers, if any of you remember what Power Rangers used to look like. But yes, we did. We looked like idiots. And we decided to take, we wanted a shorter trip because we tend to get bored or get over things really quickly and want to move on to something else. So we found this trip that was 4 hours long, and it was with a company there, and I'm going to tag the name down below because I cannot remember. But the man that owned it was Lebanese, and he was a citizen there. And he was originally a police officer from Atlanta that retired out there. And my husband's actually Lebanese, so we really connected with him. He was a great dude. And his little tour guide, Eric, that took us out snorkeling, was an amazing kid. And they're always giving you information, just teaching you and telling you about everything every time you go somewhere with them. And we decided to do the Mexico Rocks excursion, which we took a little golf cart ride downtown, and that's where we met up with our tour guide. And it was scheduled from, I think we got there at 8:30, and then our tour was supposed to end around 1. So it just depends on how long you want to be out snorkeling. And we get out there, and it's actually into Mexico, so there's a boat patrol officer sitting out there right as you're crossing into the, I believe it's called the Holchan Marine, which is a protected area for the, you know, no fishing, none of that is what I'm trying to say. Now, we were warned, don't freak out. You can see sharks in here. Sometimes they visit. We did not see any sharks. Now, I did okay in the water. My husband, he's a little claustrophobic. He did not tolerate the mask or the goggles or really any of it. So be leery about that, you know, mindful. If you're claustrophobic, it might not be the #1 thing for you to do. He ended up going back to the boat very quickly and let me go back out. And I stayed out for probably an hour and a half with my guide, and they kind of tether you to them so you don't wander off, which I did wander off, and he quickly pulled me back in. But we've seen some of the most amazing fish and sea life down there. We've seen, I'm going to post these pictures on here. Now, these are not pictures that I took. I'm still waiting on my camera to be developed. But I Googled every sea animal that I seen, and these are pictures just from the internet of the animals that I seen down there. So we seen the green sea turtle, which was absolutely stunning. We seen an eagle ray stingray, which I almost panicked. It was massive, massive. And it had this long spiky tail thingy-majiggy that has the barbs in it, or whatever they're called. And he said that that tail contains 8 barbs that they shoot out. If you guys remember, this is the stingray that killed Steve Irwin and shot him in the chest. So I was really panicky, but stayed calm at the same time. He went about a foot underneath me, and I just stayed still, and he just gracefully swim under me. It was the most incredible thing. And then we seen like a gray stingray, not sure what that is called, but and then we seen so many other beautiful fish and colorful fish. And these, the Mexico Rocks, they're mounds of coral that almost come to the surface of the water. It's just stunningly, stunningly beautiful down there. And the water is so clear. But after about an hour and a half, I started to get a little bit cold. So I told my tour guide I wanted to go back, and we, you know, cut it a little bit short, but it was totally worth it. And it cost, I believe for the 2 of us, it was $150, you know, for the 4 hours. So reasonable to me. One of the cheaper excursions that you can do. And like I said, I will, you know, put in the video the name of that company, because I highly recommend them. They took a lot of time afterwards talking with us and answering any questions, and you know, we have all the dumb questions, and we are considering retiring in Belize. So, you know, they're just so full of information about how to go about it, and you know, they give you their contact information. You know, if you have any questions, email me, you know, to help through the process. So that was our snorkeling excursion. A trip that we did, we decided to go check out another island that I had mentioned earlier, and it is the closest island to us, called CAYE. And This island, you know, all islands, I guess, are on island time. And CAYE especially, their motto is go slow. And this island was totally different than AMBERGRIS. As far as there was hardly anybody on the roads, very few golf carts, 0 cars. Just was not as crowded as San Pedro was. But on the flip side of that, we only came across maybe 1 little shop. I mean, very few little shops on that island. A few great places to eat. We ate at one place that was called Bamboozle, I believe, and it was really good. That is where we tried the snapper, and the restaurant is called a swing bar or swing restaurant, where you actually sit on swings while you eat, and it was just a really cool experience. And fabulous food at that restaurant. Was one of our favorite meals. And then that is where we kind of just chilled for a couple hours talking to locals, and where we sat, you know, on the beach, and we talked to a man and his 2 little kids for a couple hours and just learned so much. I mean, they're just so gracious on telling you as much as they can, and I can't even explain how grateful I am for having that experience of experiencing the culture and learning about it. And, you know, just, it was amazing. One other excursion that everybody says you have to do while you're there, we actually had it planned and canceled the morning of, because you're going to hear about the Mayan ruins. This is the largest place that you can go see Mayan ruins. They have so many sites, and the closest one to us from AMBERGRIS Key was an hour and a half water taxi ride to Belize City, and then from Belize City an hour and a half to 2 hour taxi ride to get there, and it would have cost us right around $160, not including our water taxi ride, which was $78. So the only issue with that excursion, and maybe it's just with that company, was we were looking for the shorter one. It was a 4-hour little trip, and the only issue was we would have had to get up at 4 in the morning to take our golf cart ride to the water taxi, hour and a half water taxi to the 2 hour. It would have been a half a day of travel, and then you spend an hour and a half there, and then you travel back. So 4 o'clock in the morning on vacation just is not cool. Not cool. I don't want to get up that early ever, but especially on vacation. So we ended up canceling that, and you know, we definitely are going back, and maybe that's something that we'll do next time, or we'll just wait when we retire there and go whenever we want. So yeah, that is the trip to Belize. One other fun fact about Belize, it is mainly their #1 language there is English. So that was amazing. Most people we came across were bilingual, Spanish and English, or they, you know, spoke a mix of both. But no problem if you don't know any Spanish, you can go there and you'll understand, you know, the language there. But great time, you guys. I highly recommend this to anybody who loves to travel. We just started doing our major traveling back in 2019 when we went to Jamaica, and then we've been to Dominican, and then now Belize. And out of those 3, this was the top of all of it when it comes to safety, fun, you know, culture, everything. It checked off every single box. So if you guys have any questions, message me, comment below. I would love to hear. And for anybody that sees this video and I don't have all the facts exactly right, please and educate me, because I've only been there once. I don't know everything. So I just wanted to give everybody, a gist of our experience there. So thank you for watching, guys, and hopefully I will see you in my next travel video when we go, I don't know where yet. I'll keep you posted. Bye, guys.